What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Great morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am glad you are here. Super excited for this session ahead with y'all. Yes, I am back in my office, back at my desktop. You could hear the difference in the sound quality. That's really nice. I'm amped up, ready to go, ready for this Monday session, setting up what looks to be a good week over here. I don't have the calendar in front of me, and I should always have the calendar in front of me. Let me pull that up really quick. Why it's an active calendar this week. We got retail sales on Tuesday, tomorrow out of the U.S., non-farm employment change, Canada on Thursday. It's still not a big deal. I don't really think this is what the market's focused on. So although we got a live calendar this week, I'm not really too concerned about it. All right, we're going to get into the charts in just a moment. We're going to start off looking at the U.S. equities and the indexes. From there, we'll move over to the DXY, gold, silver, oil. Oil's up 5%. Look at that, right? Remember it was just on last week's session, Friday session, when I started saying oil's becoming interesting to me now. I think we break above here. Let's see. That's neither here nor there. What else are we going to do today? We're going to put it all together. We're going to be going strongly through FX this morning so that we could find out what's going on for this week. And before we do all of that, just a couple of things. The UK deadline is running out. They're saying that the longest possible it could get stretched is into early December. That's just about 2 weeks away. They're saying that they need an agreement. By the way, it has to be translated into 23 different languages, right? And this is around the holidays. We know we love all of the Europeans, and we know they like to take their holidays. So what's going to happen? I don't know. Today, I think the pound is trading off a little bit. We'll look at that. But this is a situation right now where we're coming down to a deadline. Look, personally, I think if the UK leaves without a deal, it's much better off. But that's neither here nor there. Just keep this in your mind. The other thing I really wanted to talk a little about with y'all is housing, but we could do that after we go through all the charts. So right now, we're going to go through all the charts first. We'll come back. We'll look at housing after that. What's going on, Heath, Andreas? A couple of Florida heads making their appearance. By the way, if during the only requirement for being here, if you learn anything new or enjoy being here during the session, go ahead, smash that like button, which does help support me, helps with the Google algorithm. And I just say thanks to you right now ahead of that. And there we're looking at Bitcoin looking like it's trying to challenge last week's high over there. All right. So, again, by the way, I guess we're starting with just a quick peek at Bitcoin, but we're going right into the indexes. Notice that we're coming into some resistance over there, right over here. Notice also that I've said I don't think that this resistance provides anything meaningful. All right. But you can see that. Look at this touch over there. If you take that line back, it's touching over here. Right? This is the line that we're following right now. We're coming into resistance, and it does appear that we are right now consolidating below support. Weird when Jordan says that. Weird when Jordan says that on Bitcoin. 5 kids. We got 6. We got 1 on the way, John. We got 1 on the way. And yeah, it's going to be a full house. But I definitely appreciate that. Lots of love over there. Thank you, John. Let's start off with the S&P 500. We got lots of vaccine news this morning. I didn't pull up a headline, no need to show you. But the Moderna, is that how you say it? Moderno vaccine is proving to be 95% effective in trials. And I do understand why they need a vaccine that's 95% effective when they have a virus that is what's the mortality rate? 0.004? Makes a lot of sense to me. But here we are. Jordan, do you mean below resistance? Yes. Consolidating below resistance. Right? Well, math is math. Someone doesn't like that, but math is math. Right? So, I should have. By the way, just because I'm having fun, I'm happy to be here with you all, and I'm excited for Monday. We got a lot of energy now that I'm back home. Listen, I wish every purchase I would have made on Amazon since 2003 had been into their stock price. There's no question that would have been my best investment ever. Every purchase I would have made since 2003 into Amazon, off of Amazon, if I would have bought their stock instead, forget about it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that very much over there. Thank you so much. All right. So what's going on here with the indexes? We could see that the S&P is liking this vaccine news. We could see that we're coming up challenging the last spike high on the last bit of vaccine news we got on the Pfizer vaccine news, right? But more importantly, we are above here. I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about what's going on with the indexes a lot. A couple of things. Here's one. I want to give you the big, thank you so much. I want to give you the big, so right back at you. Right back at you. We'll talk about Bitcoin in just a quick second. We're going to go through what's going on right now. We will come back into Bitcoin, right? So gold's falling off today. We'll get into gold as well because of we're talking about like with the vaccine coming into the picture and it looks like growth returning. You're seeing moves today, but the moves are more noise, okay? They're more reactionary. Don't worry about that. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's paint this picture. The beginning part over here is going to be important, as it always is, as we get that brief overview of what's going on around us before we start looking for what's going on. Boom, 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 boom. Not sure what happened over there, but I'm going to just put the comments away for 1 second so I could focus in on the charts where I need to be. So, look, I think as we are breaking out of this pattern over here, and I said it before we broke out of the pattern, way before we broke out of the pattern, I've been saying it all through September. Once we break out of here to the upside, I think that a big move could be in the works. Now, I'm not putting a target on this move. Now, would something like, 4,100 be unreasonable? It seems reasonable to me. You've heard me put that number out there before. But here's the thing. There's still a lot of risks. There are still a lot of risks. What are those risks? We're running into a situation, right, where is solvency going to become an issue? We're seeing lockdowns right now. We're seeing lockdowns ramp up. Is that concerning? What does the market think of it? Well, the market seems to think of it that actually, like, that is near term, right? You see oil rising, by the way. What does the market think? The market thinks that the vaccine is going to be able to be effective and that it's looking at whether it's not immediate. In the immediate future, we're looking at further slowdown, but it's seeing signs that we're going to be headed towards future growth. That's what the market's pricing in right now. Now, there are lines of thought out there that the market needs a massive amount of QE in order to continue. I didn't dig into the details yet. It's probably true. And then the question remains, what will be the catalyst so that the Fed could continue printing? There's also chatter out there that the Fed, before the December meeting, may actually ease because we're not getting any easing coming from the government or stimulus coming from the government right now. Those are things to be aware of. If that would happen, what's going to happen with gold, which is trading off today? Obviously, that's going to fly higher. We'll get into the chart on gold in a little bit, but I believe that's noise. This looks beautiful, no question about it. I still think equities are risky, even though they're flying here. Let me look at the Nasdaq, which is behind. The Nasdaq is having trouble breaking out above that trend line over here right now. I would like to see the Nasdaq participating. I'm not one who buys that. I'd rather work more towards value than growth. For me, tech, low debt, very high profit margins. It's still going to be the way to go in the future, in my opinion. Is this actually an opportunity here as the Nasdaq is lagging to get involved? It could be. It could be. I'm waiting here on the Nasdaq for it to break up back above this trend line over here. Then it becomes interesting for me. Listen, I'm pointing out, and above this line over here, like equities look interesting, but I have no reason to be invested in equities, nor do I want. You often hear, by the way, out there like, well, if you have like, a $1 million equity portfolio, it makes sense to at least have like a small allocation, whether it's 50,000, 5%, or maybe even 10% towards Bitcoin to protect your portfolio. And you're going to receive the majority of the growth actually from that small Bitcoin position, and it's there to protect you in any downturn in equities. I think that logic is misguided. That means that you don't understand the value proposition of Bitcoin and at this point of the cycle, what's going on. because otherwise you would not be that long into equities. That's completely reckless and inappropriate, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, But I do place my bets accordingly. What's going on here? Well, let's take a look at the Dow. Dow up, beautiful today. You see the Dow making a new all-time high over there? It didn't by 2 points. Interesting that it's coming up here testing it. Even more interesting, by the way, is that we have the Dow making new all-time highs now in 2020 and the Nasdaq not. Nobody that I know of would have thought that going back just a couple of months ago into September. Interesting times we live in, right? Russell, market's beautiful. Russell over here, again, it seems to be tracking very healthy, just like the S&P, the Dow. It looks like the Nasdaq is getting ready to follow suit over here. We'll see. The DXY. The DXY. But there's also, I mean, it's true. There's also that thing, though, in bull markets. The markets climb that wall of worry. The markets climb that wall of worry. Everyone was all worried about earnings season. Earnings season's behind us. Markets are basically at all-time highs. Vaccines are on the way. I mean, unless we see a factor like a cascading domino effect, unless we see something happen in the credit markets where a hiccup happens, where a big company goes down that then has a chain reaction taking other companies with it, we're not seeing signs of it just yet. All right. So DXY, funny, right? That it's absolutely doing nothing for us right over here. It continues just right. There's nothing going on. By the way, below this area of support, is that resistance now? That this could wake up really quick. What would happen if the Fed does ease early before the December meeting, right? Look over here, if we break this support area, we want to start getting involved because then we're going to look for a breakdown to not only test the yearly lows, but then below it. But right now, we're still maintaining, holding. And what else could happen, by the way? What else is like something overhead that's providing weakness for the dollar? Well, I do believe that happens to be the fact that, there's still a possibility we get a blue sweep here and the Georgia Senate goes blue. We at that point would see massive amount or stimulus, or so it seems, coming out of the government. So right now, dollar doing nothing, but it's doing nothing. That doesn't happen until January. The tumble, I don't know when the tumble is going to happen, Bro, right now, Brian, seasonally also right now, we're going into Thanksgiving week next week, right? I mean, generally, this is a good time for the markets. If you look at seasonal patterns, this point, the middle of November through the end of the year are historically pretty good for the equity markets. Don't discount that. Don't discount that at all. Oh, this is actually very interesting, Rob. Forget the student loan debt because that's just straight up slavery, right? If you go bankrupt, you can't get rid of your student debt. But I didn't know that car delinquencies were all-time highs. The mortgage market is something that I'm very interested in because of the CARES Act. We had people who didn't have to pay their mortgage. However, when does that run out? Is it in January, or will it be renewed in the next batch of stimulus that's passed, where if you don't pay your mortgage, you have to pay back all payments plus the ones you didn't pay and plus your current ones. And that's also the same thing with rent. What's that going to do to the housing market? I am very interested to see. Gary, adding in January over there. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go through the pound Canadian dollar. By the way, the pound is a little bit hot spot right now. It's a little bit risky. Let me finish first with gold, silver, and then get into Bitcoin before we get into all of the pairs. So there we go. And by the way, I've always said that at the end of this crisis, it will be universal basic income being implemented. Now, I also think that means that can't happen really until the digital dollar is released. Right now, the time frame we have on that is 2003, 2004. That's when they said they're going to be ready to release the digital dollar. That's when we're going to really have that universal basic income, the Fed giving money directly to the people through digital wallets. What happens now between then? I think that until they have the digital dollar in place, they need to keep the music going as long as possible. Until they have the digital dollar in place, they need to keep this music playing. 2023, not 2003, 2023, 2024. Sorry about that. Boom. All right. Gold over here, still under pressure from this see that support over here, this trend line support over there. And it's still resistance, right? When I say stay aside on gold until it repairs the damage done, this was all damage over here. No question about it. Let me just draw this up. This was damage over here, breaking back down the trend line. You got to get above it, above 1914. Is that still the gold line for me? Does it become interesting? It sure does, but give it time to do that. Let's see what happens right now. Right now, it's got a bearish technical picture to it. There's no reason to be long at this moment. Same thing with silver. Silver's looking a little bit better than gold. Very, very weird phrase to hear out of my mouth because I haven't said that in a long time, right? But silver is looking better than gold, and you could see that silver over here. Look at this. This is the trend line that I'm focused on over here, right? It's coming back up above it again, and it's retesting into the trend line. A resumption off of over here, I would take a trade on silver over gold at this point. That's interesting. That's the first time that in months that I have said that. But that's what's happening right now. It's easier. I know that Kips is not a fan of the silver. No question about it. But here's what's happening on the charts. And I'm only following I'm on the 12-hour charts. Let me rewind over here. Let me come to the 8-hour. I almost wanted to switch on the 12-hour. Stay on the 12-hour. But let me come back down to that. For whatever reason, the 12-hour looks attractive right now. All right. So followed by next is oil. I'm bringing it back into the fold simply because something technical has happened. This is where I went sideways on oil, and then this channel appeared, right? This channel appeared, and we've broken out to the upside of the channel. It's a bullish pattern over here, right? And you could see first the test into resistance, but you could see the channel is now holding as support. We're resuming off of it. It looks bullish to me, and a breakout above the 4280 that will be sending a safer buy signal. Now, the correct trade, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in it at all. The correct trade, though, is taking the resumption, right? Retest. Breakout, retest. The resumption up is the trade to take, conquering the markets all day long. Nevertheless, it is interesting that I'm seeing this move occur in oil. That's just observations. Bitcoin. Oh, I don't know. So there are people out there who are definitely more appropriate to speak about this. And from what I understand, first of all, it's not. I don't think it's possible for us to go back to a gold standard. I think gold will definitely be repriced one day, but I don't think it's possible to go back to a gold standard. And anyway, the main problem with the gold standard is that it's a system of trust, and you have to trust the same people that have proven time and time again they can't be trusted. So the gold, it doesn't work. So I don't think it's going to happen. What's interesting to me about the Fed chairs to me are just like, do you think the Fed chair set policy? Do you think that Powell sets policy? Do you think that Yellen set policy? Do you think that Bernanke? Do you think that Greenspan all set policy? Or do you think they provide cover for the man in the dark room smoking the cigars who set policy and own those central banks? That's a question that I don't have the answer to. That's debatable, but I don't think that the Fed chair is setting policy. No doubt about it, Kips. You've always been clear you're dead on, and you've always been clear. And that brings up another huge thing about investing. It's all about time frame. It's all about time frame. Someone right now could be, this is going to be a bad example, but someone could be bearish on Bitcoin, and maybe they're trading the 3-minute chart, and maybe they're right here. That for sure. You think the chair sets policy? That's interesting. I mean, I don't, but that's something that I would love to get together and have, some sake and talk about with you in length to really get into it. And both of us would just be definitely speculating. Nine of us know, All right, so let's go. That would be awesome. So Bitcoin is coming up and challenging this resistance over there. Again, I don't believe that it's strong resistance. I said it looks like it's kind of consolidating below the resistance. In Bitcoin, I've shared with you in the past a couple of instances where that's been entirely possible, entirely bullish. This was one of them. And then there was another one, I forgot where it was, over here. Is this another one of them? I don't know. But what I'm targeting next on Bitcoin is this trend line up here. I'm going to go ahead and just make it darker just so we get a look at it, right? But this is what I'm targeting by the end of the year. And this also will, once Bitcoin reaches 18,000, I did the video in July, my price target for where Bitcoin will be at the end of the year, right? And where's July? Just trying to find July. Where was Bitcoin trading when I did that? Bitcoin was trading around $10,000. I have to look for the date. Could have been around 12,000, right? But remember, even over here, and especially over here, I kept to be asking because time was running out in September. Time was running out. Bitcoin's at 10,000. Jordan, you still have that $18,000 price target, right? Here we go. So what else to say about Bitcoin? Just two things really quick before I keep going. I want to get into FX. But I'm in no rush. Thanks. Appreciate that very, 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 very much. 13,000. Listen, I don't think yet that we're looking for that 30% pullback in Bitcoin. Obviously, I could be wrong. Everyone should always have the simple fact in their mind that at any point in time, we could have a 30% pullback. Right now, that would take us down to 11,500. It's entirely feasible and possible. And not only that, it could be bigger than 30%. The past bull market had 140% or 39% pullback. That would take you right back down towards 10,000 into our big trend line. All of that is possible and is always possible at any point. Okay. That being said, I don't think that's probable right now from where we are on chain, for where we are at this point in the cycle. I think that the risk remains on the upside. But we're at a point where it's hard to say when we do get that first 30% pullback, will it be higher or lower than 16,500? So whether or not, also, I really believe at this point, everyone should be fully positioned into Bitcoin, right? If you're not, continue to do the research. The playlist on the channel is a great place to start. It is probably one of the best places to start. Then also go listen to the on Real Vision Michael Seiler interview with Raoul Pal. Listen to that one and then see how you feel. So I don't know though, when we do have that 30% pullback, if it happens at 20,000, that's taking us back towards 14,000. That's lower than 16,000. So if you're still waiting to buy Bitcoin, I don't know if you're buying now at market. I mean, don't buy into resistance though. If you're buying now, or if you're waiting for that first 30% pullback, that's the question. No one has the answer to that. All right, so Ethereum, just taking a look. Litecoin has been leading the way now for a couple of sessions. By the way, just reminiscence of the last alt season, it was Litecoin that led us into alt season. So all I can say is that it's nice to see Litecoin pumping. Nothing else, right? All right, let's get into FX. Right. Well, that's another thing. If I didn't have a Bitcoin position, right, I would definitely start with a small position, and that small position would probably be 50% of whatever I wanted to invest into Bitcoin. Litecoin leads the way. Like to see that. I don't know. What about Dash? You know, Monero has a really good Monero's pulling out now. You see it? Monero has a really good use case. Privacy is a big thing. You know, in my opinion, it's not Dash, it's Monero that's the leader in that space. You know, but so and also by the way, Waves is going full tilt today. Waves is going full tilt today. That's also notable. XRP, look at that right into the. Do you see alts waking up over here? Look at this. Look at XRP coming up right into this resistance, right? Once it breaks out of this resistance right over here, right? Flip it back into support. It's coming up towards yearly highs back in August. The alts are starting to wake up over here. That's a great sign. That's a great sign. Yeah, that's also had a little bit of usage in Venezuela, but I don't think it's the leader. That's all. No problem. What exchange? I think Binance sells Monero. I think DeFi is definitely the future. I think Bitcoin is definitely the leader in decentralized finance, like by a large margin. However, I think that projects built on the Ethereum blockchain are going to be. I hope that they are wildly successful, but I think that it's going to be many years before that does happen. You are actually in the very, very. You're not even out of the womb yet. You know, and it's just way too early to know who's going to be the leader. It's that could happen. That would make a lot of. If we had a long wick up towards the all time high 19,400. When you say 18, I think you're like me that you try to be safe, right? I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of plays out there. Please say again, is it better to wait or buy? To go back and watch the replay. Go back and watch the replay. You'll hear it in live time. Can you look at Cardano? There's a lot of people interested in Cardano. Brandon, one of them. And, let's see. What's the ticker for Cardano? Well, I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. Just like I see XRP getting ready here to challenge important resistance and break above it. And I see over here that really we're above. Look where my mouse is. Look where on the far right where we just confirmed. I mean, it looks very healthy here, and I get the sense that we're going to see all alts start running, which will be very healthy overall for the market, I think. Thank you. Let's go look at FX. Let's get all through FX. I didn't know who Charles was. I think he's the creator of Cardano then. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to look at Link. When I say there's not much to look at Link, it looks very similar, like all the alts, getting ready to pump up there. But it's still this line up here. I moved that from $12.90, and I'm now, obviously the market showed me different, that it's $13.25. Once we cross above there, then that's when I think that we're going to see Chainlink putting in some big moves. I don't know what DNT is. I never heard of it. I'm not familiar, and my focus is Bitcoin centric. There's no question about that. My focus is on Bitcoin. That's where I've decided that Bitcoin is the proven technology. Bitcoin is the market leader. Bitcoin is the only one competing for the use case of money. Now, I support all of crypto and think that they have different use cases and different utilities, and I think there's going to be enormous successes. I don't think Bitcoin will be the only. Do you think Ethereum could become $1 trillion market cap? Yeah, it's entirely possible. If Ethereum does everything it set out to do, Ethereum's going to be a monster. There's no question about it. And there will be other projects too. No question about it. But right now, I think that Bitcoin is the trade. It's not only the trade, it's the most important trade, period. And that is where I am focused. And if Bitcoin plays according to the way that I have mapped it out, And again, if you're not familiar with the way that I present it, do watch the Bitcoin playlist. It is an invaluable resource, and I think one of the most important resources on Bitcoin out there on the whole internet. So watch it, and that is why that you want to go with the high probability trades, right? Welcome, Demetrius. I'm glad you're here. Do subscribe to the channel, and spend more time with us. That's true too. I think Bitcoin has a lot more than a 5x in it from these levels over here. All right, let's go. Let's figure out what's going on in FX. We're gonna do a Monday review. We're gonna go straight down the line and see what's going on. At the same time, U.S. equity markets have been open now for about 5 minutes. I could see the S&P coming off its highs, but I see the Nasdaq off its lows. That's all healthy for me. That's all very healthy rotation. The dollar's still unchanged on the day. Gold just turned positive, and silver is just slightly negative. Oil up 4% on the day, and Bitcoin and crypto all looking very healthy. All right, let's see what's going on over here. I think that the Canadian dollar is the strongest currency on the day, and going into the New York session, and the Japanese yen is the weakest. Now, this is what I see, before I look at FX and before I get a feel for the market. I see that the continued trend of the Japanese yen is continuing. I also see commodity currencies are bid. Today it's been the New Zealand dollar. Today it's the Canadian dollar, and I also see that oil is also bid and possibly looking to break out of range. All those things are risk-on indications, usually risk-on indications for me. Do we have any big risk events that could affect the market? We're seeing these lockdowns that are escalating and should continue to escalate until the end of, or not the end of, but into the end of the year. The trend is they're going to continue escalating. We still have a wild card when it comes to the U.S. Senate and also the U.S. election. Those are all things that could really show their head. And then we also have the Brexit that is coming towards a time when we're going to have some type of resolution. So it's not as if the markets are not without risk, but the markets have done a fantastic job over these past, since February, all year, of really, with enormous risks, continuing to be bid. Again, the signal for us remains the same. The signal is that the Fed's balance sheet continues to expand, fiat continues to be devalued, and that we're looking at a bazooka coming still from the U.S. government on stimulus. This is the things that I see happening right now. So, that all being said, is Australia, going back an hour ago, from what I understood, it was the Canadian dollar is the strongest. Is it possible that the Australian dollar is the strongest? Maybe now, right? So right now I see that Australian dollar is slightly stronger than the Canadian dollar. Pretty close to unchanged though. But commodity currencies are the ones that are bid. All right. That's a big number. That's a really big number. $2 billion of stimulus, Rob. That's a big number. All right. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. What do we see going on over here? Step back over here. We're into a little bit of resistance. Is it possible that we're breaking above? I don't know. It's not really something that I want to set my sights on. I'm going to clean up my charts today, so I have everything pretty going forward. We're going to do a lot of focus this week on FX. I think there's going to be a lot of trades on FX this week. Australian dollar, Swiss francs looks very good over here. Very, very good, getting back above this resistance. If you just peek back a little bit and just play it like a box, like this is, well, I guess the box is up here, right? And you can see that we're breaking out or challenging what could be a breakout of a range over up here. Nevertheless, I'm not going to play the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. If I'm going to play that, it would be the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Well, I don't play the Swiss franc normally, not always. Normally, I would say 3% of the time. Outside of a crisis, I avoid the Swiss franc. All right. So Australian dollar, Japanese yen, very interesting as we come back into this trend line over here. A break above that, yes, I'm going to like that a lot, right? Now, often you'll see me, if I feel like price is going to break out, getting into the pullback before it. I wasn't aware. I wasn't doing that. That's still resistance over there. This could be setting up later in the week, except I'm on the wrong time frame. I'm on the wrong time frame. Let me get back to the 8-hour over here. All right, still waiting for a breakout above there. Very nice. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Look, all I could say is that, what could I say? We're back towards this area of support over here. I don't like it at all. What I'm seeing right now is that I do not like cross pairs. I've only looked at a couple of them, the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and I know I don't like them, but if I look at what that means, is that means that's strength versus strength. That's commodity pairs are right now in favor, and it makes sense that I wouldn't want to trade versus strength versus strength. All right, it's Monday, getting back into the flow over here. Look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. Guys, you have to be smarter if you're on the internet, right? Than everyone else. If I ever told you that you can invest 1 Bitcoin and earn 3 Bitcoin in days, I'm lying to you. That's not true. All right? What a freaking idiot. You know, anyone who's out there spending their time and energy trying to scam other people, if they just try to build something, they would probably be enormously successful. You know? So, anyway. So strength versus strength does not work for me. That's why I don't like what I see on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. That's why I don't like what I see on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. However, I do like what I'm seeing perhaps potentially unfold on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And this is strength versus weakness. Strength versus weakness. So I'm not green lighting yet because we need to break above there before I would. And I'm not looking to sell this off that resistance area. James, I hit him from the channel. He can't do at least damage over here. It's not the first time and they'll be back. I mean, it's what they do. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Look, it looks messy, my chart. So because my chart looks messy, I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up, right? Like just like this. You can't have a messy chart, right? I'm getting serious over here. So what do I see though? I don't see much. For me, there's no question. Australian dollar, Japanese yen looks like a better trade right now. Now, does a potential breakout in oil? Now, I'm not saying I'm right about that, and for sure, there are other traders who are looking to sell off that resistance. No problem. It hasn't been broken and confirmed yet, right? But is it possible if we see oil continue to go bid over here that we could see the Canadian dollar continue to rise? Maybe, but right now is not the time for me to get interested and or attack, right? That's for sure. That's for sure. You know, don't be evil. What if that was real Jordan? No, that was not really Jordan. I'm Jordan. I'm conquer trading and investing, and I did not post that. That's an imposter. When you're giving the impression that you're someone that who you are not, you're a liar. And if a liar is proposing something to you that's not real, there's no what if it was real. Otherwise, they would not be lying, presenting it to you. You know? So, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, I'm just going to stay away from it. But I do find it interesting that the Japanese yen continues to be stronger than the Swiss franc. Because what I've noticed over these past 6 months is that when we see risk on, we're seeing the Swiss franc outperform the Japanese yen. That's changing. That's all. So, keep going. Euro, Australian dollar, I just pull it up. It already gives us our game plan. It's pretty clear. We're consolidating, right? I'm going to do 2 things. First of all, your charts, if they are wrong, it actually complicates things for yourself, for your brain. All right. I'm just going to put this blue box over here just to remind every single one of us, myself included, what is going on over here. Not there. Over here. You notice my first day at a new machine is always a little bit off, and the second day I'm flying. This is a huge consolidation area. We tried breaking out to the upside. I tried going long. It wound up being a bad trade over here. It's not a. By the way, I was listening to that new book, The Market Wizards, The Unknown Market Wizards, and it was said at some point, like, look, if I take a trade and I could look back on the chart later and see why I took the trade, even if it doesn't work out, it's still a good trade. And that's the thing about trading. It's true. Even you could take a trade and take a loss on the trade, and it doesn't mean it was a bad trade. So interesting and true. But I'm watching this blue box over here, right? And a breakdown or a breakup will lead to when that becomes exciting again. But until then, it's back in a range. So here we go back to Euro Canadian dollar. Thank you, Joseph. Definitely appreciate that. Right now, I'm getting into the meat over here, but we started off on a Monday, and I thought it was pretty awesome actually. So thanks everyone who went ahead and shared that love with the thumbs up. Just really happy to be back home. Really happy to be back at my office and connected with all of you like this. The last 2 weeks were literally pretty crazy. Euro Canadian dollar. I'm looking at here at a moderately strong pair versus what is right now a strong pair, and they're both consolidating. There's nothing here that I like, so I'm going to keep moving. I'm looking for what I like, and the one thing that I noticed right now this morning, let me remove all of my flags, is that I haven't seen anything that I like. I don't see a wave coming in, but I see one that potentially could be later on in the week. Euro Swiss franc. Oh, there we go. We had a little bit of internet skip right there. Euro Swiss franc, right? What do I think about it? Well, that looks like a bearish pattern setting up over there into the resistance, right? Into that area of resistance. That looks like a possible bearish pattern setting up. So we'll just keep observing. Euro, British pound. It's so funny. This is amazing. This is beautiful, right? Because you're seeing ever since September this long consolidation channel until we get a resolution here on the brick exit. So that's really interesting to watch. And we're getting close now. I think the pound is dangerous to trade right now. What is that? Let me move my notes off here. Let's start fresh right now, right? I want to keep everything nice and neat now. Nothing going on here that I like, even remotely. Sideways price action. It's funny because this year has been so volatile with so many really strong abnormal trends. 2020 on so many different pairs across the board, and now where we are is the market is I don't want to say directionless, but the market is more or less sideways and consolidating. There has been plenty of opportunity, but you have to be very selective about your opportunity, right? What's going on over here with the Euro New Zealand dollar? Last time we pulled back into resistance, resumption down, now off support. It's just dangerous right over here. It's just dangerous right over here. The reason I say that is because over here, first of all, this is what we tracked over here. The break of that trend line, the retest, it was the resumption down, probably took profit into support. But over here, what happened next is this. You could see that pullback into resistance. That's where on Friday, that's where the smart trader was looking, right? So there's nothing going on right now as we are sitting on an area of support. All right. Awesome, Silver. We're awesome. Did I miss the VIX? I don't think so. I don't ever look at the VIX or use the VIX as any type of asset into my analysis. It doesn't offer me an edge whatsoever. I don't cover the VIX. So let's see what's going on over here. Euro, just like the DXY, is what? It is completely neutral and directionless. All right. Keep in mind, we're watching the potential of the DXY breaking down. That could lead to this obviously breaking out. This will become highly desirable and attractive if that happens, or if we get below the blue line. But right now, and for a long time, with the exception of this one event right over here, we have been sideways. That's what it is. Sometimes I see you have 7 days time frame and sometimes a week time frame. What's the difference? Nothing really. It's a good question. So if I'm, it's just this, right? 7 days is before a week, and it's the same thing. Sometimes I'll pick the 7 days. I rarely am looking at a weekly time frame or a time frame this big. For me, a 3-day time frame is pretty big time frame to look at. So I look at the 3-day time frame a lot. If you see me looking at the 7-day or weekly, there's nothing to read into it. There's no reason why I'm doing that. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate that. Is there an inverted head and shoulders on the euro? So the question is are we missing a trend line, right? Is this a left shoulder, a head, and now a right shoulder? And if that's the case, where, what trend line are we missing? And I'm having trouble kind of plugging that in there like that. So, two things. Jade, sorry about that. Good luck. I'm going to keep that trend line in there for sure, right? And also why it's really good to have it in there. Now, regardless if it's a head and shoulders or an inverse head and shoulders or not, right? Which it very well could be, right? And maybe that's not the best. Maybe that's a little bit better of a trend line. Focusing off the closes over here. That's why I adjusted that a little bit. What's important for this is a break above that resistance. Let's expect that to be the resistance we come into, right? Which also coincides exactly right over there. All right, let's expect that to be, and let's watch that. That's a good add to the chart. Appreciate that. All right. So, and by the way, the trigger on a head and shoulders pattern anyway is the break of the neckline. Do not ever try to think that you see a shoulder and try to take a trade ahead of time thinking that, well, if it's going to break the head and shoulders, I might as well get in here and not here. This is a losing trade over here. There's no probability to it whatsoever, right? So keep that in mind. Yes, we'll skip down for a second before I get back, and let me see what pair I left off on. I guess it's the pound pairs, right? So we'll come back to the pound pairs, starting at the pound pairs in just a second. Let's start off here. Let's go through copper, palladium, platinum, and nickel, right? We'll do the nickel on 3-day. This is the Kips, one of the Kips trades, Kips guitar. Kips, you said you have a new track out there. I'd like to hear that this weekend. And we look at this as a 3-day because this is a long-term trade here developing. As Kips presented, one of the things that we added to this after he brought it up to us was that the U.S. government just invested in a nickel mine in Brazil. It is because if you're looking at the EV market, the electric vehicle market, they need nickel to make those batteries. There is a huge need for them. And then you could throw in the, just the bull market we see in the rest of the metals anyway. There's a lot going here. We continue watching this channel, this long channel that is developing, and we've broken through this portion of it now. Looks super, super nice. This is Palladium right now. Palladium, let's see. I have that trend line over there was still being rejected above it. You're waiting for a breakout above that. Let's keep that clean and simple right now. Platinum. Oh, this is actually a big event on platinum over here. The reason being is we're breaking out the outside of this. Let me just go ahead and extend that down, right? You could see over here, we finally have broken through the outside of this huge, 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 I don't know if you want to call it a channel. Either way, a consolidation phase, now breaking out to the upside. That's actually on the docket here as we're going in for the retest right now for a possible resumption off and entry. If you look also sideways, there's a level of support over here. Let me draw that into the chart as it's completely relevant right over there. And that's a healthy looking good setup. Thanks for bringing our attention over there. Copper future. Yeah, just to clarify for him, since I have the voice and he doesn't, the mic, he's saying watch out short-term traders for the volatility of silver. Correct me if I'm wrong. Copper, look at this beautiful breakout. Let's see why we have that resistance over there. Yep. Look at that resistance over there coming into that resistance. So, right, what does this mean? First of all, it means two things. Everyone knows that you're buying of support, selling into resistance, right? Is that a resistance anyone would take profit into? It's a pretty big resistance. I think that taking full profit into that resistance makes sense. Breaking above it, when I say breaking above it, like if you break above that big resistance at $3.30, then you could wait for a retest and a resumption to get back into the trade, because if we break above that level, then we have much higher price targets on silver. Let me actually draw something in over there right now. All right, let's look also back to the pound pairs. I'm probably going to blow through them a little quickly, and that's only because I'm going to do it on the 12-hour, and that's because we are getting now really close to some type of what I believe will be volatility on the pound. Absolutely. It's the biggest joy to hear all of the buzz around the house. Thank you so much. I so grateful. I thank you so much. I feel so blessed. I am so blessed. So pound, Australian dollar, notice that we're into an area of support. Let me clean this up so it looks a little bit easier for myself and for you. But we are into an area of support over here. Okay? So but what I'm looking at really, and I'm going to make it like this. We looked at the euro Australian dollar that had that box on it. And this is the box that I'm really going to focus on right now. All right. Pound Canadian dollar. Ooh. This one is nice. Let me start cleaning that up little by little. But this is this pattern I've been watching, this triangle pattern developing over here. And we're getting close to a breakout. If the pause is because if we got a breakout before any type of resolution out of the UK, would you take the trade? Look, when you break out of a pattern like this, taking the trade, there's a really good risk to reward. You're like, what do I mean by that? Let me talk about this for one quick second. Let's say that we broke out over here, retest, and then resumed out. This is a great trade over here because your risk is really limited. Let's say even you had a big stop on it, right? But you're targeting way up here and above on that trade. So regardless of what's happening on the UK, if we get a breakout, I believe that it's probably something worth considering. This is the comment of the day. Libros gratis. Libros gratis, free books. You're always wrong, man. Listen, there's a year's worth of video up on YouTube, and you will see that's furthest thing from the truth, right? Libros gratis. I don't know how that you're able to get something so wrong, but let's just leave it at you're an idiot. We'll leave it there. Pound Swiss franc. All right, what are we looking at over here? We got some resistance right over here. Let me put it over there. Actually not. I'm just moving away from this. I should probably remove it from my list. I wouldn't trade the pound even. I am removing this from my list. There we go. Pound Japanese yen. All right, pound Japanese yen. Is this actually setting up? No, it's not. It's not at all. I feel like there's a trend line somewhere over there. Let me just take a quick look on a higher time frame. I don't like this at all. It's not offering any opportunity right now. I just want to stay away, and that's probably from all pound pairs, really. Right? Pound US dollar, however, looks different. Pound US dollar does look a lot different than everything else. By the way, the pound is trading stronger than the US dollar. We're going to take a look at the New Zealand dollar US dollar right now, which is also, I think, the same case. When I say that, let me tell you what I means. What I means. What kind of English is this, right? Look at this. DXY, we're looking at the DXY not yet breaking down towards its yearly lows. We're looking at the euro US dollar, right? It's in a very similar situation. The euro US dollar is also not trading towards its yearly highs, the inverse of the DXY. If you look at the Australian dollar US dollar, it is not broken towards those yearly highs. When you look at the pound US dollar, the pound is above this area of resistance. No, it's not towards the yearly highs, but it is above this area of resistance. I have to say, this looks intriguing to me, right? And also, at the same time, watch the New Zealand dollar US dollar. It is also trading at yearly highs where everything else is not. It just has come back in and retested this and is resuming off of that. So no question the New Zealand dollar is the strongest, but right after that is the pound. And that is all very, very interesting to me. And the only trade that it brings up, though, is possibly on the pound US dollar. Right? Resuming off this during London. Is that a trade to take? Look, you have the lower highs over there. We don't like that, but it's a clean signal. What about on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar? Nope. I mean, that one's missed us. Let me stop with the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and this looks a lot like the DXY. It looks exactly the same as the DXY to me, so it does not have an edge. And let me finish off with the US dollar, Swiss franc, which also is really not giving us any the Swiss franc is weak. Because while everything else is towards the bottom, this is towards the middle of this consolidation pattern. So we have a weak Swiss franc. We have, and by the way, the Swiss franc is weaker than the Japanese yen, then followed by the weak Japanese yen. We have commodity currencies are strong. Then we have the pound, looks stronger to me, and then followed by the euro. So that is what I see across the markets. Kips, could you send that? Could you do me a favor, please, Kips? Could you fill out the form on conquertrades.com, and then I'll reply back, and then you could send me the track, or is it the most recent uploaded track on your channel? If it is, I could just find it that way. Robert, sorry. So first of all, Robert, just so when I am looking at the charts and going over the charts, I am not looking at the comments. Like, for real. It's not as if I was seeing your comment and not responding. And then there are just random times my eyes glance at a comment and I see a random comment and I respond to it. Like Kips right now, I just happened to see him say that. It wasn't that I was looking for a comment from him specifically, right? Or anything like that whatsoever. It was just the luck of the timing, right? But grains is not a market that I trade and or look at, right? If you want to look at a chart, give me a symbol. I'll be happy to look at it and go over it with you. But just be clear, I'm most of the time, I'm not able to look at the comments. That's all. You have to give me a ticker. I don't look at grains ever. This is something that's very interesting. When I say that it's interesting because, I mean, there's a lot of people who talk about the Great Reset. And if you could see the information being put out by the World Economic Forum, they are pushing this narrative. I feel like they need to buy more time for this Great Reset to happen, right? Yeah, there's nothing. Look, when the powers that be, when the people who are trying to control the world are actually putting out a narrative, because they tell us everything they're doing ahead of time. It's some type of sick psycho stuff. They put it out there. It's not like it's hidden from us. Is there some type of great reset in the works? I absolutely think so. I absolutely think so. What it all means, I think. Look, the thing that I'm most focused on is two things. I see what's happening with the central bank digital currencies. It's for real. It's happening. It's going to happen. The second is, I think that when they do this reset of sorts, I think whoever holds the gold is going to get a seat at the table and make the rules. And I think gold is going to be repriced at that time. More so than like, yes, it's possible and or probable we see gold move towards $3,000 and or higher, right? Of course, 2,400 comes first. We all are good at math. We understand that. But I think if there's any meaningful reset in the price of gold, it will come at a time when there's like a new Bretton Woods type new system developed. This system is not sustainable. So it's just a question of keeping the music playing as long as possible right now, pulling the most from it. When I say pulling, them raping the most from it, from us, and that's what's happening. So I think there's risks in everything, right? So I think that if you're holding stable coins, I think right now the risk of holding a stable coin is that Bitcoin is going to continue to greatly appreciate versus stable coins. So that's the biggest risk. But I also think that if you are holding stable coins, it's probably just a general good idea to spread that risk out amongst different stable coins. Right? Now, I'm answering that question just from a very basic level, right? And that's as far as I go into it. It's as far as I need to go into it for myself. So I'm not researching where, is there a greater risk in holding USDC over Tether? I don't know. I don't know. And also surveillance is probably a big risk, right, on USDC. So I don't know. What do I think of playing MicroStrategy? I prefer Bitcoin. Now, MicroStrategy has been outperforming Bitcoin ever since they announced their reserve move into Bitcoin, but I don't think that that's a trend that continues. I mean, we've heard this go on for a long time. Get rid of any tether. Is it possible? I don't know. Matty H kid coming back. Love you, brother. Love you so much. So anyway, where are we and where are we going? Let me catch up on a couple of comments I missed. Alan, absolutely. Matthew, I just saw your text come in. Absolutely, brother. A big hug to you and the wife. Love you so much. We're so excited about it. I'll call you in just a little bit. I remember Maddie back in, it was December of last year. December of last year on the channel, he used to come in and tell us daily a moment from a blast from the past. Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody. Definitely appreciate it. So we got a lot of likes in here this morning. The session's been very animated, very happy with it. It hasn't left us with much. I could say it's left me with absolute, thank you so much. It has left me with absolute clarity of what's going on. I've outlined that very well. I do not see anything remotely on the way of activity for trades, right? And that's just the way it is. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a good week. It's actually setting up, but we don't have a set of waves coming in right now, which is also fine, being that everyone here should still, in the meantime, and it is the meantime, be riding our Bitcoin trade, which is, again, we're talking, it's since September up 60%. Those numbers are pretty substantial. Nevertheless, you have to keep focused. Gemma brought up a couple of weeks ago, she said, if Bitcoin is the only trade that matters right now, why focus in on everything else? And it's a really good question. I think I've done that proportionately with my portfolio, show how much Bitcoin matters. However, listen, the only way that you could keep sharp is by keeping sharp. And just because today we don't have a set of waves coming in, FX is the moneymaker. There's no question about it. It's the consistency. It also gives the read to the overall markets, right? The way I'm able to see whether we have risk on, risk off is through how these different currencies are moving. That gives me an edge for focusing in on the equities and the indexes. And it's all just one living organism that works together. So that's why, to keep sharp, you've got to go through everything, even if nothing's happening. And today there is nothing happening in the sense of, tonight's work is going to be very, very limited for myself. There's simply no setups developing. That's true. I mean, this is as true as a statement as can be. Nothing is 100%. Even Bitcoin, there are risks there for sure. There could be Bitcoin is software, and there could be a bug in the software. There have been bugs in the software. As of recently, there's been bugs in the software. Now, the Bitcoin developers are some of the best in the world. There's no question about it. Bitcoin was very slow on purpose as not to make a mistake. But there is huge risk when it comes to Bitcoin and or any other investment. I remember this year, my father-in-law calling me up when oil was trading at $35 and wanted to buy oil. He thought that was a pretty good deal. And I told him, absolutely not. There's no way. Do not buy oil. It's going down towards $24. No, I'm sorry. That was when oil, before the big gap. This is so funny because he called me up over here when oil was in its low 40s, thinking that's a cheap price, wanted to buy it, a substantial amount of money. I was like, no way. Oil's going down towards $34. It then happened over a weekend. And then as soon as oil went down like that, I said, okay, now it's going down towards 24, right? It's going down much lower than that. And you never know what's going to happen. Oil went negative, and that's true. Bitcoin is not a given. That's why there's a risk involved, right? That's why there is risk involved. If we get a solar, that could happen too. We could get a big solar flare, then, knocks Bitcoin. I don't know if it would knock it to zero or not. There's no question, Thomas, that your New Zealand dollar is extraordinarily bearish. This was the pattern that set it up for me. But since we've seen what do we do in downtrends? We saw resistance, but I way missed that. All right, everyone. I'm going to go kiss and hug these kids right now. So thanks for spending the time today. Thanks for being here. And this is tradingview.com. Oh, I think it's worse than communism. I don't think we're working towards socialism, communism. It looks to me like we're moving towards complete tyranny. So, what a way to end the session, but it is what it is. Thank God we got each other to work through this. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the session. I don't know if you could hear me over here. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful day, and I'll speak to you later in the afternoon. Thank you for that last thumbs down. It reminded me, and may God bless you all. Have a beautiful day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you for your beautiful, beautiful well wishes. We're so excited, and continue to live that grateful life. Thank you.